So at this point, you are probably either ready or almost ready to start painting your rockets. So I figured I would give you a little bit of a lesson on how spray paint works. This is not exactly related to the physics that we've been learning, but it is still science. It's maybe a little bit more chemistry, but hopefully you'll still think it's interesting and maybe you'll learn something that you didn't know. First, I want to talk about how a can of spray paint is actually made. So we start with just a can. It's just a metal can, probably aluminum or something like that. Just, kind of a tube with the bottom on it made out of metal. And we're going to put our paint in that. In this case, I've got red paint, so they're just going to pour that in. But if I just leave it like this, it's going to get all sticky and dry out and stuck to the sides, and it's not going to spray out very well. So that's not good. So we don't want that. What they do to prevent that from happening is they use what's called thinner, so paint thinner. And what that does is it kind of keeps the paint from getting too dry and keeps it from thawing or from drying out. But we want to make sure that it's all mixed together well when we spray it out. So we put these little metal balls in there, and they're just for mixing stuff. And you can hear them. If you shake the can around, you'll hear a rattle, and that's the little balls bouncing all around inside the can. In order to get this paint out, what we're going to do is we put this, it's basically a little straw, and it goes down into the paint, and it connects to the cap that kind of seals everything off on the top. And then we've got the little nozzle, and that's what you push down that lets the paint come out. Except if we had things set up just like this, and I push down on the nozzle, pretty much nothing's going to happen. We need something in here that's going to push the paint down and up through our little straw so that it can come out and spray all over everything that we're trying to paint. And so that is what we call the propellant. And the way the propellant works is it's a gas that's under a really high pressure. And so that means it's going to be pressing out on all of its surroundings, like the can and the paint and everything that's around it. So it's flying all around trying to get out, and it's pushing on all that stuff. And it's going to push down on the paint and the thinner, which makes them go up through the straw and then out the top. And so the paint sprays out. And so I'll kind of say that again, looking at our picture here. So the propellant is it's all stuck in here and it's trying to get out and it's flying all around. Well, when you push down on the nozzle, it opens a little door. And so now it's pushing down on this stuff, and this can all fly down here, and the pressure pushes it up our straw, and then it gets to the top and flies out, and that's where you get your spray paint from. So I have a couple of tips for when you're using the spray paint on this project or anything else that you might ever use spray paint for. Make sure you shake it up before you use it. I would recommend singing either like the ABCs or Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, which are actually the same tune, just to make sure you know that you've got enough time, that you've shaken it up for enough. Second tip is don't get too close. If you get too close, you're going to get a bunch of drips in your paint, and it's going to be running all over the place, and it's not going to look very good and not going to work very well. You don't want to be too far away, obviously, but if you're too far away, you're just not going to paint your rocket. If you're too close, you're going to get a bunch of drips and runs, and we don't want that. And then number 3 is let it dry. So it's not going to be an instant dry. You might want to let it wait a few minutes before you pick it up to kind of let it dry out a little bit more. So when you are painting, especially in this project, but again, anytime you're using spray paint, be careful of overspray. So that's where the paint kind of goes around or behind or, past whatever you're trying to paint, and it paints something else. And you can't really avoid it. So just be careful that whatever is behind your rocket is something that is okay if it gets paint on it, like say a big piece of cardboard or paper or something that we can easily clean up. With that said, if you accidentally get paint on your shoes or your clothes or anything like that, it's probably going to be a pretty permanent stain. Okay, so be careful about that. On the same note, it could, if you get it on your hands, it's probably going to stay there for a while too. It's not going to be like it's permanent for the rest of your life, but it'll probably be a couple weeks before it will come off. So there's just some tips for using spray paint in this class or in general if you're ever using it for something in your own life or outside of this class.